Sky News Sunrise, a very good morning to you. Louisa Fletcher with the newspapers very shortly, looking very pretty in pink this morning, and Charlotte Hawkins looking like Charlotte always does. Fantastic.
Thank you
very much indeed. Thank you very much indeed. Louisa Fletcher with what's in the newspapers. We're talking about 20-week maternity leave, the possibility of that. Cheryl and Ashley, what next? All after a rundown of what else is happening from Charlotte.
Thanks, Eamon. The findings of an independent inquiry into appalling standards of care at an NHS hospital are due to be published this morning.
Well done, well done. Just an unfortunate title for that medal, I think. Not a great title. Anyway, here is Louisa Fletcher. Here comes the news.
20s who are thinking about at some point having kids.
In children's lives where parents should be there rather than...
Yeah, I agree. I wouldn't have been tolerant at all.
Not one small indiscretion.
First sign of it,
three.
That's it, yeah.
Yeah, I do think it's difficult in this case because, you know, it's devastating at any time, I think, when a marriage breaks up, but particularly when you've got everybody in the newspapers saying, you know, you should do this, why haven't you done that? You know, it must be really hard to actually think clearly. You know, this is their lives. It's a really serious issue, and to have everybody saying, why haven't you done it sooner? You know, what's she doing? Why is she making this decision? It must be really hard, I think, from
everybody
that point of
has
view.
an opinion.
Yes.
Right, get a load.
Then they were then laid
Now,
flat.
I do understand the shock and the horror happens, Charlotte.
Who on earth is going around leaning on gravestones anyway?
Yes, precisely. But more than that, why couldn't?
Brave, it doesn't know what it's doing.
Yes,
it doesn't make a sense saying, I could be killed doing this. Dumb animal, isn't it?
He's not so dumb, you know. He saved a battalion of troops because he found what they call a daisy chain.
That are treats.
Well, he's a Labrador, so I'm sure there is some...
Be very, very careful where you buy it. This looks like an absolute dream house here.
Under £150,000. However, 6 days after taking ownership of the property...
Than it had before. A bit closer to the edge, a bit more precarious.
It's a very positive way of looking at that.
Indeed. I hope that's got you talking. Louisa Fletcher with the paper. She's back. We'll interview with Alistair Darling there. It is on Sky News Active. You press the red button to see that. Right now, here comes Charlotte with what else is making the news.
The findings of an independent inquiry into appalling standards of care at an NHS hospital are due to be published this morning. Patients at Stafford Hospital were starved, dehydrated, left in agony and told to lie in their own faeces. Lisa Dowd reports.
It must be very tough for Sergeant Hayhoe to send...
Dog, and I would hate to feel that, but I guess he must be really proud of the fact that the dog does such an important job, and it's down to his training that the dog's able to do that and to come back alive as well.
But then that's a super dog, isn't it? It's not really a dog, it's a machine,
It
really.
is a very highly trained super dog,
You'll
as
probably
you
find
put
it's
it.
a robot under that. Sunrise on a Wednesday morning. Good morning to you. Louisa Fletcher standing by with the newspaper. Charlotte on the news this morning. Breaking news, just more depth throughout the programme this morning. Got the newspapers coming your way with Louisa Fletcher after Charlotte with the other stories that are making the news.
Thanks, Eamon. The findings of an independent inquiry into appalling standards of care at an NHS hospital are due to be published this morning. Patients at...
OK, we're going to talk more about this. Julie Bailey there. Here comes Louisa Fletcher with the stories in the news, and it's Cheryl Cole and Ashley Cole. First of all, with you, Louisa.
Move. Implications.
It's so precarious, that property thing. I know somebody that's bought it, the money that it would take
Don't listen to him, Charlotte. Don't listen.
Together again. But luckily, that's what's going to happen there. Thank you very much indeed. Charlotte and Louisa Fletcher there. Right, let's get a rundown on what else is happening. Charlotte with all those details. Morning to you.
Thanks, Eamon. The findings of an independent inquiry into appalling standards of care at an NHS hospital are due to be published this morning. Patients at Stafford Hospital were starved, dehydrated, left in agony and told to lie in their own faeces. Lisa Dowd reports.
We're pleased that Trio's retired, aren't we?
We are indeed.
That's
Yes,
nice.
some people are a little sceptical about giving animals
Pigeons medal.
All of duty.
Yeah.
Serve their country. They deserve to be recognised.
A bit of old seed or something, my handler there, Sergeant Hayhoe, to send him out into, doing what he had to do.
Yeah, it must be very difficult, but I imagine he's supremely proud of the fact that he does such a good job.
Supremely proud. Thank that there. We're going to be talking to this lady. This is Monica Crane. Make a story after Charlotte with a rundown of what else is happening.
Thanks, Eamon. The findings of an independent inquiry into appalling standards of care at an NHS hospital are due to be published this morning. Patients...
Well, there's Monica. We're going to tell your story now. Thanks, Charlotte. Thank you, indeed, for that, because Charlotte was referring earlier to you were told what you were
that
going.
we were. Ahead on this morning's live desk, strong language from the Chancellor as he tells Sky News what it felt like to be hit by the forces of hell. We look at the fallout for the Prime Minister. And the verdict on substandard care at Stafford Hospital. We'll hear from the families of some of those who died. The live desk opens after the weather.